So serious question. At what point, like my kids, they don't hear language that like Jody had and Joe.
Don't get divorced from this podcast.
Jody. Welcome back to another episode of Is This for Kids?
I'm Katie, MrsRuvi.
And I'm Jonathan Beard of Blevins. And we are your hosts. We're hosts.
Well, you looked at me like I was supposed to know what to say.
We're both either hosts or we're both co-hosts. That's how I look at this.
Yeah, we can be hosts.
We're hosts or co-hosts, but we are not host and co-host or host and co-host.
You've said the word host and co-host so many times that it's lost meaning.
It's making you think of hostess, and now you
it really is. I want a ho-ho.
Yeah,
oh.
It's inappropriate. Ho-hos are not for kids. They're bad for your teeth.
They're absolutely for kids.
They're bad for your teeth.
I have a controversial way of eating ho-hos, which freaks everybody out when they see it.
I'm listening.
I like to eat the chocolate off of the outside because it doesn't stick. It peels off like a skin, and then I unroll it.
I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I have not had one in over a decade, but when I used to eat them, that's what I did. I have a serious question. You're like an expert on many things. How much healthier? Regular Cheerios are an 8 out of 10-ish on the health scale compared to other cereals as well. And like Fruit Loops are a 1.
Right.
Where are Honey Nut Cheerios?
Oh, it's much closer to Cheerios.
So like higher than a 5.
Yeah, I would put Honey Nut Cheerios in like the 6 range because so for me, what you're talking about is what type of grain is there, and Fruit Loops are made out of corn, I'm pretty sure, like most cereals made out of corn, whereas Cheerios are made out of oats, and oats have more fiber. They help with digestion better, they lower cholesterol, and they keep everyone regular. This stream brought to you by Honey Nut Cheerios.
Sponsor us. My children literally live on Honey Nut Cheerios.
They're so good though.
They eat them without milk because my wife is kind of silly and like didn't grow up with milk and cereal, and so our kids will eat cereal as a snack with their hands instead of like with milk, which is very weird.
Sometimes I eat cereal without milk, all just for funsies, and my little daughter will walk up to me and hand me a spoon like, "You Neanderthal. Stop eating that with your hands. You need a spoon." I'm like, thanks, judgy 2-year-old.
That's amazing. Today, we are going to talk about 2 cult classics in our next 2 episodes. Princess Bride and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah. I'm
excited about these episodes. Both of them, would you consider them a cult classic?
I think so. I think that there's a strong following behind both of them.
Is there like a movie that you are a cult classic member of?
Oh.
Where you're like, I just love it. I will tell everyone about it.
Man.
It's very niche. Like, I think objectively Princess Bride is an above average movie, but I don't think it's like groundbreaking, but it's great. And the people who love it. Yeah. Are you like that with anything?
See, okay. I don't know that it's niche, but I am a huge Back to the Future fan. Massive Back to the Future fan. Somebody tweeted something recently about it being Back to the Future Day because it was October 15th, which is the day that Marty travels to in the future in Back to the Future Part 2. And I was just overwhelmingly angry about this tweet because I was like, no, Back to the Future Day is November 5th, 1955, the date he goes back in the first movie. Back to the Future Part 2 is objectively the worst of the 3 movies. Come at me.
I was just going to ask you, aren't there a lot of holes that people poke in those movies? And if so, how are you not one of them? Because you're like, that is totally you.
You have to suspend your disbelief, first of all, which you claim to be good at.
I am an expert at that. Yep.
Yeah, the willing suspension of disbelief. But it's just so fun to see the little things that they change. Like in the very beginning, they're at the Twin Pines Mall, right? And they show up on this guy's farm and he runs over a pine tree on the way out. So on the way back, they don't comment on it, but all of a sudden it's called the Lone Pine Mall. They do a good job.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm a cult classic member, not of Princess Bride or Mrs. Doubtfire, although I do like both movies, of Step Brothers.
That movie was too recent to be a cult classic.
Fine. Stealing Harvard, Tom Green. It is such a funny movie. It is objectively horrible. My brothers and I quote it all the time. We loved it. We saw it at the right time, at the right age, where we thought it was funny, and it's great. Stealing Harvard. Check it out. Not for kids. Princess Bride. Tell us about it. Most people probably either have seen it and love it, have seen it and don't like it, or will not watch it. Similar to another movie we'll talk about soon.
Yeah. So this is a 1987 movie. This is pre-PG-13 being an option, but I do think that this is a true PG movie. as far as like those ratings are sort of made up, and you can buy your way into a different rating depending on how cool you are nowadays. But for like what we think of as PG versus PG-13, I think this is a true PG movie. And it's a story of a young kid who is on a sick day, and his grandfather comes over to take care of him. So he's going to read him a story, a fairy tale. And this kid, it just right out the gate, he's like, oh, is this a book about kissing? Is this a kissing book? And it's Fred Savage. He's delightful. If you haven't watched our Boy Meets World episode, you should go watch it. It's his older brother.
Yep.
Fred Savage is the little kid, and the guy who's the Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka is the grandfather.
Yeah.
Fantastic. They're telling this story, and this is the story of Buttercup, who spent her childhood messing with this farmhand Wesley before she realizes that he's in love with her, because he always says "as you wish" to everything that she ever says, and they're gonna get married and it's gonna be great. So he has to go off to find his fortune across the sea, but he is attacked by the dread pirate Roberts, who never leaves anyone alive. And so Buttercup goes about her life sad, and eventually she gets somehow roped in with Prince. He wants to marry her, and she gets kidnapped by 3 guys who are looking to start a war. And so that's the premise of the story.
Inconceivable.
It's inconceivable. I'm a Montoya.
And you're a fan.
I am a huge fan. I think it's a great. This is the first time everybody saw Carrie Eulis. I think this is his first big movie. Who was also in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh my gosh, I missed that movie. It's been forever.
We talked about it just a few weeks ago. It was a great movie. Love it. Anyway, fantastic story. It's adventure, it's silly, and the thing is, it's a fairy tale that boys will enjoy. Like, the whole premise of it is that this boy doesn't want to hear this story because it's a kissing book, but it's interesting. There's sword fights, and there's murder, and there's fire swamps, and all sorts of things.
Fire swamps.
Yeah.
You keep saying that word.
I didn't.
I do not think it means what you think it means. It's such a quotable movie. When I rewatched it, I forgot like how many things. I will quote things from that movie and would not have been able to tell you that that's what it was from. That's how quotable it is. And
there are 2 truths in life. You never start a land war in Asia, and you never bet against a Sicilian with death on the line.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's from Princess Bride. Which is fascinating. I'm with you. It's super fun. Adventure. I do actually think this might be like one of the first movies I show my 8-year-old that's like a adult movie, if you will, like with actual characters and not cartoons, because I could totally just see him thinking it's hilarious. And we watched Ratatouille recently, which we should talk about it here one time. It's one of my favorites. And there's like a kissing scene there, and both my boys were like, ah! It's so funny. I was like, so that's like the perfect age for this. But there's a little bit of language. Oh, here we go. John the sheltered one.
I grew up on a military base. I heard those words before breakfast.
See, but don't you think?
Well, in a trailer park and on a military base. People are like, wait, what is Katie's backstory? Just before my parents got divorced, military base, afterwards, trailer park.
Okay, yeah. So serious question. At what point, like my kids, they don't hear language that like Jody had, and Joe.
Don't get divorced from this podcast.
Jody, let's just say I'm surprised that they haven't heard language, because
goodness.
Jody enjoys herself a couple of words in general. But
no,
like they don't like know curse words. Like I'm pretty sure that there are 90% of the words that you would consider a curse word they have never even heard.
Yeah.
So at what point are you like, you know what, they're going to start hearing them, and the way they're going to start hearing them is by me showing them movies?
I mean, words are words. They're out there in the world. Your kids, I mean, they're not going to hurt them. It's just a word.
I know. I'm not afraid of it. It's just like, let's just wait. They're 8, maybe when they're 10.
Well, sure. For me, it's like when you talk about swearing, it's a question of whether or not the kid has a big enough vocabulary to not necessitate that word. So when a kid is dropping the F-bomb every 30 seconds, it's sort of like that scene in Dead Poets Society where he's like, you should never say very. A man is not very tired. He is exhausted. Like, if you're using the F word every single time, it's because you have a small vocabulary and you need to learn something. So, you know, if your kids are using too many swears, perhaps they need a word of the day calendar. But there's a lot of times when a well-placed swear is the funniest thing in the entire world. I'm with you. Yeah. And I enjoy those words. Yeah. I just don't want my 8-year-old hearing them yet. Why though? It's funny. You don't want to enjoy the funny? Maybe he's 10. So are we allowed to cuss on this podcast? I mean, yeah. It's not for kids. This is not for kids. But I've told my oldest daughter that she can refer to somebody as an ass if they are behaving as a donkey. Like if they are being stubborn and insubordinate and all of those things, then to call them an ass is appropriate, because we read Shakespeare when she was little and she was homeschooled. So now this kid walks around saying ass way more regularly than it's appropriate to say it, and I have to be like, that's not actually the definition, and we have to back it off. But I think it's like,
you just literally proved my point.
I don't like it when
You
kids
just literally proved my point.
I don't like it when kids swear just for the sake of swearing, but when a kid uses the word ass appropriately, like because you're acting like that, it's a good word. You did
like,
it right.
Little mama, so move
No.
it. Oh, not okay.
No, not that.
Shake, not that.
No, like if you're in class just being an insubordinate, churlish little monster, it's appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
With you, agree. I don't think we're super far off, but I think I can wait 2 more years before I let my kid hear a son of a
Well, yeah.
in this movie.
But the way that he said it is so good.
It is by far the greatest SOB of all time.
Yeah, it's very good.
In any movie ever. Overall, I do think it's a pretty safe movie for kids. I'm like on the 9, 10 to 12 age range, because here's my thing.
Your range is like huge.
I know it's huge, but that's because my 8-year-old, I guess my 8-year-old's not watching it. So probably when he's 10, maybe 12. This is one of those movies that's like, why rush it? Why wouldn't you just wait until your kid's 10, 11, 12? It's like they're missing out. It's like there's not other things they can watch.
Your entire family will enjoy. 6. You can watch it when you're 6.
No way! 6?
Yep.
6 years old.
Yes.
See, my 6-year-old would be so bored. I don't have a 6-year-old. He's 7, but he'd be so bored.
The sword fighting and everything wouldn't carry it through? Oh,
no.
Man.
No,
So,
they'd rather watch Wildcrats.
So all of my kids have seen this movie except for the youngest. She's 3, so she hasn't seen it. But we did watch this movie with my niece also, who is older than my kids. When we were in college, we showed it to her, and she was 6. And the only thing that like felt inappropriate was that she got a little bit scared of the rats, like the rats of enormous size. I can't remember what they're called.
Yep.
But yeah, she was scared of that. And they look really cheesy now. But
yeah,
that was it. Nothing else was like, there's no sex, there's barely even the kissing.
Some kissing, but it's not bad. You're right.
It's like it's chaste kissing. There's not blood. There's sword fights. Everything that's scary is actually funny.
Some alcohol, but like not a ton.
But he's known it like he's an alcoholic, like he's an actual drunk. That's the whole.
He's also really funny.
He's also really funny.
Okay, let me ask you this: what would you summarize the movie if you had to give it like one line? What would you say the theme or the moral of it is?
The moral?
Yeah, like the what's the theme of the movie? The one liner you walk away with. I'll go first. Mine is that true love is worth waiting for.
Oh wow!
You like that?
That is good. I've never thought about it in that sense.
And because it is worth waiting for, it's worth waiting to let your kids watch it until they're 10. You like that little line there?
I mean, if you got nothing else to watch, you may as well watch this. Like, I don't know what you're...
It's pretty good.
What are you waiting for? Like, what happens when they're 10?
I don't know.
It doesn't need to be a special occasion. Plus, that's when you're supposed to start watching Monty Python.
I'm trying to be objective about this. Mm-hmm. But like right now, I'm like, my 8-year-old wouldn't like it anyway, so I'm waiting.
Oh, so my 8-year-olds loved it.
Yeah,
they thought it was super fun. But yeah, so as far as like making a decision as a parent, there's not really any sex, there's not really any drugs, there's a little bit of drinking, one swear, and then a lot of blasphemy. But other than that,
I wouldn't even say a lot of blasphemy. A little bit of blasphemy.
A mild blasphemy. Yeah, they misuse the name of the Lord Jesus
twice.
So
not a ton. Yeah. So have fun watching it with your family. It's a cult classic. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Let your kids quote it, all but one line.
Give them 8 things of popcorn.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's how much you gave your 3-year-old.
In a little bowl.
But
100%. Yeah. Guys, ladies, gals, everyone. Thanks for being here. Check out isthisforkids.com. We are on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon now.
Yay!
Which is super exciting.
With the bonus content.
Yeah, bonus content. Lots of really cool things. Check it out. Again, every link can be found on isthisforkids.com. And we want to hear from you. Thoughts, great reviews, and what we should be doing next.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
See you next time.